Have you ever frozen mid-sentence because you just couldn't figure out how to say you were forced to do something yesterday? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going on a grammatical time travel journey to absolutely master the modal verb have to. If you've ever found yourself getting all tangled up trying to explain a past requirement, or maybe something you're going to have to do tomorrow, you are in the exact right place. We are going to lock down the rules of obligation across the entire timeline of your life, building a rock-solid framework that you can rely on every single time you speak. So here's our itinerary for today. We'll kick off with a quick present obligations recap, move right into past obligations with had to, navigate the tricky did trap, jump ahead to future obligations with will have to, compare all four variations side by side, and finally wrap up with some bonus idioms and vocabulary. All right, let's get right into it. Section 1, Present Obligations Recap. Okay, so think of your present reality as a strict binary when it comes to obligations. Basically, if your boss is standing right over you handing you a massive project, you've got a direct requirement. We use have to or has to for this, like I have to study or she has to study. But the very second you clock out of work or finish your classes, boom, that obligation completely vanishes. And for that freedom, we use don't or doesn't. I don't have to study or she doesn't have to study. So you either have a direct obligation right now or you are entirely off the hook. There's literally no in between. It's a super straightforward foundation. Now, Section 2, Past Obligations with had to. Let's fire up that time machine and look at obligations that are already behind us. The absolutely crucial point here is this grammar formula. It's kind of like a strict mathematical equation for expressing anything that was required before today. You just take your subject, add had to, and attach your base verb, the first form. So what does it actually mean? It simply means it was necessary in the past. If you were forced to do something yesterday, or last week, or heck, 10 years ago, had to is the exact vehicle you use to explain it. Let's see how this sounds in the real world across a few different scenarios. Think about past family responsibilities, like, I had to help my parents yesterday. The duty is totally over, but it was required back then. Or think back to your school days. Maybe students had to wear uniforms. You really had no choice in the matter. Or even just for necessary everyday actions in the past, like she had to call her teacher. Notice how the structure never changes? Whether it's I, she, they, or students, had to locks it firmly in the past. It is incredibly consistent. But watch out, time travelers. Section 3, the tricky did trap. We are approaching a very dangerous grammar monster that traps so many English speakers. I want you to listen closely to this question and ask yourself if it sounds right. Did you had to go? Seriously, read it out loud. Does it sound quite right, or is a tiny alarm bell going off in the back of your head? Because if you're feeling a bit suspicious of that sentence, your instincts are spot on. Saying, did you have to go, or I didn't have to study, is actually completely wrong. Why? Well, because the words did and didn't are already doing all the heavy lifting. They are already telling us we're in the past tense. You absolutely do not need to put the obligation verb in the past tense too. So here's your ironclad rule. After did or didn't, you must always revert back to the base form have to. Never had to. The correct versions are just did you have to go and I didn't have to study. Burn this rule into your memory, and I promise you are going to sound so much more fluent. All right, having safely dodged that villainous trap, let's jump to Section 4, Future Obligations with will have to. Let's jump forward in our timeline. Keep this formula really handy because you're definitely going to need it in the long run. The structure is super simple. Subject plus will have to plus your base verb. This formula is great because it clearly signals that a responsibility doesn't exist right now, and it didn't exist yesterday, but it is waiting for you somewhere down the road, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, or maybe even a decade from now. Just like with our past timeline, we use this structure for upcoming responsibilities, rigid requirements, and future necessities. If you're a student bracing for exams, you'd say, I will have to prepare for the test. For general, inescapable rules in society, drivers will have to renew their licenses. And for daily logistics that just haven't happened yet, we will have to leave early tomorrow. It perfectly paints a picture of exactly what is required on the horizon. And honestly, this next one is perhaps the most satisfying sentence you can ever build in English, the negative future form. Just listen to this. Subject plus won't have to plus your verb. It lets you express the joyful realization that an obligation has been completely canceled. I won't have to work tomorrow. Seriously, is there any better sentence in the English language than that? You are entirely free from the future requirement. Let's see how all of this connects. Section 5. Comparing all 4 variations. This matrix is fantastic. It literally lets you see the entire shifting landscape of obligation at a single glance. Look at how seamlessly the core idea transforms based purely on time. We start with the current burden of I have to study, and shift easily to the present freedom of I don't have to study. Then we kind of pause, look over our shoulder to the past with I had to study, and finally we turn our gaze ahead, anticipating what's coming with I will have to study. If you can just visualize this dynamic in your mind during a conversation, you will never get lost in the grammatical timeline again. You've successfully survived the grammar timelines, so let's head into Section 6, bonus idioms and vocabulary, and collect some well-earned loot. You know, you might think some English grammar rules are totally off their rocker, which, by the way, means crazy or foolish. But mastering these 5 idioms will definitely keep your head above water in native conversations. Let's dig into a couple of these. To get wind of something means you heard a secret, kind of like catching a faint scent carried on a sudden breeze. In the long run refers to things playing out over a long-term future. And making a mountain out of a molehill, that is such a fantastic visual. It perfectly describes someone overreacting and exaggerating a tiny, mole-sized problem into a giant, mountain-sized catastrophe. Throw these into your daily chats and watch your fluency instantly level up. Finally, let's add these 5 powerful action words to your arsenal to seriously upgrade your phrasing. Take the word impact. This isn't just a small change. It's a strong, forceful effect, like how new technology completely reshapes education. Or expand, meaning to increase in size, like a small local company expanding into huge international markets. We've also got commitment for real dedication, interpret for explaining the true meaning of something complex, and recover for returning to normal. These aren't just vocab words, guys. They are high-frequency, professional-level tools that will really elevate how you express your ideas. To wrap up our time-traveling explainer today, I want you to immediately apply what we've just learned. Seriously, don't let this knowledge just fade away. Think about your own personal timeline. What is one specific thing you will have to do tomorrow? Go ahead and structure your answer perfectly in your head right now using the rules we covered. Mastering these timelines doesn't just fix your grammar, it actually gives you the power to clearly and confidently control your own narrative across time. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.